So what we'll do is we'll just give about 1 more minute. And Steve, if it's okay for, especially for guys that was desired to be on the phone but couldn't for conflict, scheduling conflict, I would like to, if possible, I would like to record this call, and then I can share it with some of those guys if it's okay with you. But I want to get permission from everybody for me to record this call, and then I can share the contents of this call with the guys who could not make it from a conflict. Is that okay with you? Okay. Okay, awesome. So what we can do is we can kind of go ahead and get started. So I'll quickly make a quick introduction. Gentlemen, this is Steve Carlos. I was introduced to him by a mutual friend during my time working with the Les Brown Institute. And Steve him and his partner, Hank Norman, had a tremendous, successful, experiential background in the world of marketing. I mean, they've been part of some great projects, and they were introduced to me recently, and everything that they do in terms of helping athletes, celebrities, and so forth monetize their brand, everything that deals with media, these guys are experts at it. And so we met a little while ago, and they started working with me on helping me as a speaker craft my message, but beyond just crafting the message, put it into components where we can monetize it, help more people. And so I thought with us, as far as Legends directors and coordinators and other NFL players, we have a tremendous platform. A lot of guys have some different messages that they want to kind of get out there, and this is a perfect platform to do something online, video, and monetize it from there. And so that's what Steve, why he was brought to me. So far, it's been very successful. He's been doing a great job of walking me through some of the steps and help me kind of fill in the gaps. And I just wanted to give him an opportunity to meet you guys and allow you to kind of go from there. So at this moment, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you, Steve, and just know that I'll put my phone on mute. If you have any questions, you can kind of go from there.
As I said, guys, I'll make it relatively painless. We run a media company out of New York, my partner Hank and I. We work only with nonfiction talent experts, business folks, chefs, personalities, hosts, and what we do is we help them take their brand, make it super focused, help them communicate that message to an audience, whether it be television or digital, and then we develop stuff, properties, television shows, books, video coursework, which is something I want to talk to you about, and do a lot of business development for folks in order to help take that brand, whether it's an already existing large brand like somebody like Steve Harvey, who we have a development partnership with, to folks that you see on television, authors, major speakers, etc. What's happened is, as I'm sure you guys know, the world of media has changed a lot. Cable television started to become a major thing, and now even cable is going the way of the web. So what's happened is there's been a huge amount of experts that have burst onto the scene that didn't have any strategic direction, authors and radio hosts and speakers, and our company's filled the gap in taking what they do and expanding their brand, getting them more exposure, and figuring out how to make money doing it across all areas of the traditional and digital media. We've worked traditionally with only entertainment. We're just starting to work with sports. One of the reasons we love athletes is, one is you guys are performers. You know what it takes to perform. You've had to do your whole career. Quite a bit you guys transfer over into the media business. The second thing is everybody knows your name, and you already have existing audiences, and that's a lot easier to sell into. So the thing that's really worked for us over the last 12 to 24 months in a bigger way even is developing video course programs with talent. The guy that makes us the most money and how we actually met Donovan is not Steve Harvey or any of these other folks that are on television all the time, but a guy named Grant Cardone, who I'm sure you've never heard of. But in the last 5 years, we took his, and he's terrific talent, he's a business expert. We've grown into the point where he's literally making almost $5 million a month just selling video course programs online. And, that's obviously a little easier to do in business, but, the path to doing that and the process of doing that is one that we've gotten really good at. So working with talent to understand what makes them tick, what is your true passion, what are people dying to learn from you, and turning that into a course is really the things that I'd love to talk to you guys about and see if that's something you're interested in. We have a process that really works. It's relatively turnkey, a little painful, as Donovan would tell you, but the pain really just comes in and actually having to dig deep into what you truly believe, because we're repackaging what is truly your inspiration and what has made you amazing at what you do. And for Donovan, it was really overcoming adversity and being a leader and wanting to have a domination type of mindset. And how do you translate that to people to get them motivated to buy something from you? And we're in the middle of that process. And for everybody, it's different. And I think what's amazing about folks like you is you guys all have stories that people want to hear, and then they want to translate those stories into help me. What can you do to help improve my life and make more money, inspire me, motivate me, etc. So that's, depending on where you are in the life cycle of your media careers, if you are interested, love to talk to you about how do we explore that. So hopefully that long-winded speech made some level of sense.
Well, it did to me, because I've actually talked to Les Brown once before, and he actually knows another guy that I was talking to who has a speaking thing that I'm thinking about getting involved with down in Florida. And I've heard a lot of the things that you guys have done. I'm just surprised that it's here already. That's all.
I missed that last part. I'm sorry. I'm old and deaf.
No, I'm just surprised that it's already here. The NFL, it's already in the NFL already.
Gotcha. And when you say it's already in the NFL, what does that mean?
No, you guys are here already, and it's not something new that somebody's bringing to.
Oh, I got you. Okay, makes sense. So in terms of what you've been doing in media, what have you been doing so far, and are there things that you wanted to do more of, and is there a course in you that you'd love to share with people? I guess it starts with, so what do you spend most of your time? You do speak around the country or no?
No, not yet. I do some speaking, but not a lot.
And this is Darryl, right?
Yes, it is.
And in terms of, do you do media stuff? Have you done broadcasting or other kinds of things like that?
I've done some, but it's been just local stuff. I've done on the radio and TV. I've done those locally, but that's it.
And is it something you want to do more of?
Something I would like to explore, yes.
Got it. And when you think about that, what is the thing that really gets you excited? Like, is there a message that you really want to share, or is there a thing that you really want to do more of than what you're doing today?
Yeah, what I really want to share is I really want to be able to tell guys that don't go down the same rat hole I went down. I mean, I was one of those guys that believed in doing what the bank said, did what they said, and not properly having a business partner fed it right, because you can lose your ass both ways, and I've done both.
Got it.
And in the dark hole that I went down, I don't want anybody else to go down, is just that you don't just have to kill yourself. There is a way out. If you're strong enough to take the punishment and the pounding that you're going to take on the way out, you just have to be strong.
So that's actually a couple of different things, right? So one of them is, I'm asking, and how to not blow your wad, right? And how to somebody who's been there on either side of it is how to make smart decisions, right? So that's kind of more of a high-end conversation with folks that are in the league or in other sports that are making money, right? That's one thing, correct?
Correct.
Then the other thing is, we've got some experience with this. I have a pretty good friend who's an ex-NBA guy who talks about why so many athletes lose so much money of their money is because they actually, when they get into a hole, they're actually embarrassed to talk about it, and it ends up becoming a spiral because they can't get out of it because they don't want to talk about it, and now they're in this situation. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So that could be a message that would easily work, not just for athletes. That would be a message for anybody that finds themselves in a whole heap of shit and needs to figure out how the hell to get out of it.
Yeah, and I like to tell kids in college that because they can do the same thing. It can happen to them in college.
Yep.
Those kids come out of college, give me a job, first job, how to have people vetted properly.
Got it. Well, that's super interesting. And have you done anything with those kind of messages? Have you written books? Have you told stories? Have you done any of those things?
No, I told stories, and I told some of mine. That's it.
Have you ever written a book?
No.
Gotcha. Remind me, who was the last team you played for?
Last time I played for was the Minnesota Vikings.
Gotcha. And you played for what, about 10, 12 years?
14.
Oh my God. Okay, gotcha. And physically, you're holding up?
Physically, I'm doing all right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Hurt like hell every day, but I'm upright.
Oh shit, I'm sorry to hear it. Okay, got it. So, I think that's there are two different messages there, and it really would be interesting to explore each of them. But they're different, business development agendas. The challenge is something like this, Cheryl, is that you're kind of putting your toe in the water, and you're not really sure. If we could make sense of it, we'd have to move from toe in the water to dunking your head.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
And look, I have
Good at anything, yes, get in it.
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. I'm not talented enough to be half-ass good at anything. Okay, cool. So I would love to talk about that further in a separate conversation if you're open to it. I can send you some information through Donovan. So, Carl, you got a ton of media stuff, right?
Hey, excuse me for a second, Steve. Hey, excuse me for a second, Steve. Chester, did you just click in?
Chester is in, and I'm waiting my turn, so you guys keep going.
All right.
Steve Carlos from 2Marketing. What I'll do is once I talk to Carl, what I'll do is I'll start from scratch with you guys. That way they don't have to hear from scratch, you know what I'm saying?
Not a problem.
Okay, cool. So, Carl, you have done a ton of media stuff, right?
Yeah, I've done a lot of media stuff, and the thing that I have right now is actually the package, and some of you guys look at it. It is a course called Game Plan 2, and one of these guys went through the course and evaluated it. Got really high marks. So it is in the package, basically. It just needs to get out there again for for more of a public market.
Yep.
So that's what I'm interested in. And I have other things, too, similar. But the Game Plan 2 was really about transitioning from the game to life beyond. But those principles apply certainly to ordinary citizens, and particularly to the mature population now that's maybe getting to a point where they may be thinking about retirement. There's a lot of life and left, and there's a lot of ambition left and things they want to do. Helps to guide them towards those goals. So, it's a known fact that athletes play, for a limited number of years, and they have a long retirement. But that same thing applies to the average person now, who, when the average retirement age was 65, and that was pretty much their lifespan. Now they have 20, 30, 40 more years beyond retirement, or even a postponed retirement. So these principles apply to that population, and I think there's a lot of stuff in there that could be, information for them and appealing to them, and particularly with some type of inspirational and motivational content.
Yeah, no, I think that's I think transition is true for everyone. I mean, even, I'm mid-40s, even, at my age, the entire world has changed in the digital world, right? So,
Right.
And it's true, it's no different than anybody coming out of college. They're transitioning to actually having to pay for themselves and support themselves. It's true for anybody that's gone from single days, now they got to be married, and how do they transition into that new phase? So transition is a universal thing. The question is, where's the sweet spot for what you do? And my guess would be a little bit more mature in the, 35 to 65 range, right?
Well, I think the mature audience is certainly a target audience, but it behooves the younger generation to prepare for that. It's just like you say, the younger audience is very typical that, when you have the youth, your mindset is just very different. So it's applicable, but they just aren't going to they're not going to the well,
Totally got it.
Yeah.
And do you speak about this topic? Are you a public speaker around the country?
Well, I speak on that, the transition, I guess you could transform it on aging and maturity, so that's a good audience for me. But also I have a background
addictions and things like that. I'm a big, certified counselor, and I developed a number of programs around addictions and stuff like that, and particularly, whether it was a single day or managed care. During the days of the managed care program when I ran my shop. So, but there's a world of information there. There is some very practical information, and it's all about personality and growth and becoming the person you want to be and achieving your goals, those kinds of things. So addiction is kind of a mindset, but it's still a very challenging thing. It's something that you have to overcome. So it's like overcoming anything else, but it's a huge obstacle that most people don't, eventually they do because, the consequences are horrendous. So that they develop that fortitude over a long period of time, and they go through a lot of lumps and bruises to get there. And so I just want to help them get there in a much milder, consistent way.
No, that makes perfect sense. I totally understand. Okay, cool. Now, is all of your stuff readily available to take a look through so I can be smarter and my partner and I can review and come back to you with hopefully some intelligent ideas?
Yeah, I can provide some of that stuff. I can provide some of the footage, some of the tape and stuff like that.
That would be awesome. Okay, cool. So, that would be great. I'd love to take a look at all of them. Hopefully we can come back to you, like I said, with something that makes some sense and continue the conversation, see whether or not we can be helpful. I'd love to.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll probably just have to correspond offline or something like that, so I can see it because there is a tremendous amount of material, so we can kind of thumb through that and see what appeals to you.
Cool. Do you have an agent or a manager that helps you with all that stuff?
I don't have an agent, and I don't have a manager, so I'm just basically operating, business self-employed.
I got you. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully we can figure a way to help change that. Okay, awesome.
Awesome. And last one is Chester. He just joined on. I mentioned to you before, Steve, about him. I mean, this guy, he's Mr. Houston. Been there, done that. Very successful businessman. Television. I mean, you name it, speaking, everything. And so I think that he's another great candidate for what it is that you do. So I just want to introduce you guys. And this is Steve Carlos, Chester.
So, Chester, I'll just give you a quick snapshot of what we actually do as a company. Hopefully that helps, okay? You still with us, Chester? Hello?
Muted the phone.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'll just give you a quickie. So my partner and I run 2Marketing Media out of New York. We've got clients all over the world. We only work with experts, folks that are in the nonfiction business that have a view of the world, that they could be chefs, business people, lawyers, doctors. We have some of the biggest media folks around on all of those sides. I work with everybody from a partnership with Steve Harvey to folks you've seen every day on television. Unfortunately, I got a couple guys on Fox News, which makes me want to kill myself, but they're legacy people. But for all of them, what we've done is help them grow their brand, make them really good at communicating that message, really focusing in on what's their unique, special differentiation in the market, and then developing properties, whether they're television shows, whether they're books and book proposals, and then video coursework, which has been where we've been super successful recently because it's a relatively new area where you can actually have a one-on-one relationship with consumers or with businesses. And we create programs that we take and we help our talent walk through, and then we produce, shoot, edit, and then market those courses around somebody's authentic expertise and their passions. And as I was saying to Carl and to Darryl, one of the great things about athletes is that you guys already know what it takes to perform. Most of you already have media experience having to deal with reporters all the time, and you have a view of the world that's really helpful. And of course, you have an audience. People know who you are based on your years in the league. So what we're looking to do is to find folks like you and see if we can help turn that into something bigger and help make money for both of us. That's basically this thing.
Okay. So can you hear me right now?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, perfect. So
way, out of the gate, something like that to me is really awesome. I have, I retired back in 11. I went and got my MBA because as much as I wouldn't say this out to the world, business is far more my passion than football ever could be. I frankly played football because they wrote me really big ass paychecks. It was my whole life. I was a smart kid that was very okay with becoming an electrical engineer, and it would have been all good. I just kind of lucked into playing ball, and as they say, when opportunity knocked, I answered the door, gave it a big old smile, and offered it some cookies. So that's kind of that's how my personality works. Since I've been done, I have done a decent amount of TV work. I anchored the sportscast with zero experience over at the NBC affiliate here in town. I did that for 3 years. They asked me to do it full time, and I politely declined simply because the dollars didn't line up with the amount of time that would have been needed and necessary. To do the job right. Yeah. But in that same breath, I love y'all to death, but I can't work 60 hours a week for $80,000 because that's what the market dictates here in Houston. Yeah. It just is what it is. Yeah. The hindrance that I've kind of had to deal with is the fact that I want to stay here in Houston. I know that if I went to LA or if I went to New York, I get told it every day, twice a year on Sundays. Strahan's told me many a time to bring my ass to New York. If I come to New York, I'll be making $500,000 in no time. But I don't want to live in New York, and I don't want to live in LA. If I could figure out a way where I could do a once a week or twice a week thing where I recorded a couple of shows or something along those lines, that would be an absolutely perfect world for me. But Houston, Houston is just where my base is. It's where all my connections are. It's where all my businesses are. It's where there's no state income tax, and it's where my property tax on my paid-for home is like $12,000 a year. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. It's home. It's got it. Now, are there one or two questions that you would ask that I could answer that would give you a ton of information pretty quickly?
Yeah, very quickly. Well, one thing I want you to think about, let's start there, is the difference between being a host or a announcer and what we do is pretty big. And it's the problem with being a host or a broadcaster is, except for the 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that end up making it big time, like Strahan, but look what happened with Strahan. He's a personality, right?
Exactly.
So the guys that can turn into personalities can build something really big. But there's an even bigger way. It's called having an opinion. And for all of these things, what we're really talking about is, what is your opinion in what the world and how the world works? What is the thing you're passionate about? And what's the mission you're on to do something, right? So Carl has a couple. It's both addiction and it's in the other area. And Daryl, we started to talk about. I think that the question comes in is so Daryl Carl's was addiction and transition.
Transition, yeah.
So the question is, what are your opinions on top of that make and then when you drill into it, what are the practical takeaways, and then how are you at communicating that information so that it feels completely unique to who you are as an individual, based on your story, based on your point of view, based on who you are as a human, and then authentically being able to deliver that in a way that makes people pay attention. So you can get really big from Houston if there's a thing that you are world class at on the business side or on the mission side, that you have something to say, and that we galvanize a lot of resources behind it, and then say that's the thing I really want to pass that message along. And it simply could be the monetization piece is creating a course program that we then use media in order to both traditional and digital in order to get attention for. Does that make any sense, that long-winded thing?
Okay, so it completely does. and I've actually heard that said once or twice, but not nearly as eloquently as you just put it. What my issue is I have the only thing that I am absolutely, and I mean truly passionate about is my family and making life better for people that come through my path. So when I meet someone, when I talk to someone, when I can help somebody out, when I have a contact and I can hook somebody up, shit like that genuinely makes me happy. Now, I happen to be really good at a lot of other things, and I know a lot about a lot of other things. I can talk to you about the medical space and business. I can talk to you about my 38 freaking Hardys and Carl's Jr. that I own. I can talk to you. I have a lot of interests that I've done really well in. I've transitioned I'm putting myself in a very different category with transition. Just because a lot of guys cheat. Those guys, like your quarterbacks, and them some bitches that made $50 and $60 and $100 million playing, well, yeah, they're gonna beat me a little bit. But for guys that made $20 million in the league and have made $20 million in that same amount of windows away from the game, that's a different conversation. That's where I am, and I've done really freaking well at it.
I know your thing, my friend. I already have the answer for you.
Okay, I like it.
Not even a joke. You ready?
Fire away.
You're the franchise king. What you've done is figured out how to take something and turn that into a really big business, and that story would be true for everybody, from little guys to, on the business side. What you've done is you probably know inside and out how to make money in franchising. I'm doing this with you outside of the personal stuff because this is where you can really make money. Because nobody understands franchising very well. There's network marketing, there's business, there's entrepreneurship. This is a real thing, and it's starting to catch fire a little bit, but people don't talk about it enough. And it's something that even a little guy can figure a way to own one that he ends up buying two. It's real estate, right? So there's a billion people teaching people how to buy and sell real estate, multi-purpose homes, all that kind of shit. For this, this is how you can help. By the way, this works for players who are trying to figure out how to transition. This works for the regular Joe Schmo. This works for kids coming out of school. There's a very specific skill set that you take for granted that could really be a huge win for lots of people if they understood how to do this.
Okay, I kind of like that, and I would say that the first thing I would say is it's all about team, and that's one thing that I learned from playing ball is you'll be a fool to try to do it all by yourself. But the art of all of this is building a team the same way I built a team in football. An offensive lineman can't go play quarterback. You got to go find somebody that can play quarterback to go do that. So granted, yes, you may be smart. Just because you're smart does not mean you're good enough to be the accountant. Just because you're tall doesn't mean that you can't do a job that's down low because they have brooms that can reach that far. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in trying to put something square inside of something round instead of finding something round that fits in the round hole, or going out and changing the hole from a circle and making it a square for your guy to do it and find what their skill set is. So I like it.
Look, I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's about 98.5%. It could be a really, it's so specific. I love the specificity, and that's what I want to find with, Carl and Darryl, and I think Carl especially has it. We got to figure that out with Darryl. But the specificity of what we're talking about now is a real thing, and through that, you can help people, right? You start making money, you can help lots of people.
Yeah, I will say that. I don't love money by any stretch, but I absolutely love what I can do with and because of money.
So I'd love to explore that with you. And I'm like I said, having done this a lot, that's a sweet spot and something I would definitely want to explore with you.
Okay. Tell me, I'll get my email to Double D. Will you email me everything that I need to send you from whatever you need to see? I've done a couple little sizzle reels over time. There's nothing like Michael Strahan's, but it's something simple, it's low key. It shows what I've done and what I can, what I'm capable of. And I've really done it all from hosting to announcing to analysis to expert opinion. I've done some political stuff. I've done a good mix of it all.
Awesome. I'd love to see it all.
Okay. That sounds like a winner.
Do any of you guys have any questions before we and then take it offline and follow up with you guys?
Well, I just want to say,
I got to get him because we got to go. But I'll wait for you here.
all right, no, this is hey, it sounds good. I like what everybody has to say, and some good ideas coming out. I look forward to communicating with you in the near future.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much for taking the time.
All right, bye now.
All right, Jim. I'm sorry. Was anybody waiting? Yeah, we all good? Well, listen, gentlemen, I appreciate it. We'll follow up. We'll follow up with emails and stuff like that. All right, buddy.